What's up everybody, my name is RoyaleRebelle, and in this video I'm going to be talking about 3D printing and cosplay competitions. Now, I've kind of gone back and forth about if I should make this video at all because personally I probably am not the most qualified person to talk about the subject. I do know a bit about cosplay competitions through third-party information. I'm actually getting ready to compete in my first cosplay competition this year. So while there are more expert voices like It's Hack on TikTok, she does a great job giving information on it. I still feel like I want to share my little 2 cents on this subject. If nothing else, this will just be great practice for me doing talking videos, which I want to do more of on cosplay topics. But with that, we're just going to get started. So the inspiration from this video comes from a cosplayer on TikTok because he made a video that kind of blew up a little bit within the cosplay community because he was upset that he didn't win a cosplay competition. Now, this particular cosplayer solely attributes it to the fact that he's a 3D printer cosplayer and that he felt that there was some sort of discrimination because he was a 3D printer cosplayer. Now, I can't really attest to whether or not that's true because there are so many factors. Like, cosplay competitions are so complicated to judge, like without more information other than, you know, his little TikTok, we can't really say for sure why he lost versus why somebody else won. I will, however, say, though, that cosplay, I will repeat actually, because I did say this already, cosplay competitions are incredibly difficult to judge because when you're doing a craftsman-based competition, which I know they're performance-based cosplay competitions, but for the purpose of this video, we're going to just talk about craftsman-based. So when I say cosplay competition, I do mean craftsman. So anyways, when you enter a craftsman-based competition, you can only be judged for what you made. So as an example, I plan on doing a Teen Titans Raven cosplay, hopefully for Youmacon this year. At this point in time, I plan on 3D printing her gems for her belt, buying a chain for it. I plan on making her suit. I plan on making her cape. I don't plan on making the wig. I already have one on hand. And then I may or may not, I'm debating whether or not to buy gray tights and gray tight gloves to give the appearance of gray, or if I'm just going to do my natural skin tone. With that being said, the things I would not be able to be judged for is I wouldn't be able to be judged for the chain. I mean, I guess technically the belt would be a piece overall, but I'm anticipating not being judged for the chain because I'm not planning on making the chain. I'm planning on buying it and piecing together my 3D print parts to it. I wouldn't be able to be judged for the wig because I am not making it, nor am I styling it. I'm basically using it out of the box. And then I would not be able to be judged for the tights or the finger hand tights because I don't plan on making those either if I do choose to go that route. So that being said, I'm going into this knowing what I can and cannot be judged on. So I know I can be judged on making my hood. I can be judged on making my bodysuit. I plan on doing boot covers. I could get judged for those because those are things I crafted. And I think this is the issue with a lot of 3D print cosplayers is that they do make these impressive looking props or pieces to their cosplay. And that's what they're expecting to carry on them because they have these things that look impressive. And that's kind of one of the big difference between 3D printing and sewing is that when you sew stuff and when you construct stuff out of fabric, there's a lot of little details that you can't see unless you're up close, which is in part why we have prejudging, because you want to be able to show the judges the things that you're not going to be able to see from a catwalk or on a stage or however the cosplay competition's set up. And there's a lot of little details and skills that you can put into fabric that you can't necessarily put into 3D printing. Now, I'm not saying 3D printing is hard, because part of the reason I specifically chose to do Raven from Teen Titans is because I also wanted to model my parts, so I chose a very simple shape to be able to model in 3D print. And then that would be kind of my stepping stone into 3D printing as a cosplayer. And so, like, because you can see these impressive pieces, sorry, I feel like I lost track for a second, you don't really get to see that, like, when it comes to sewing because, like, the details are so small. Like, there's another cosplayer, I'll link all the cosplayers I'm referring to in the description below. Sorry, I can't remember all their names while I make this video. But there's another cosplayer, he does some really impressive pieces. Like, he does, like, I almost want to say Padme inspired, like Anakin, or like what if Anakin gave up the Jedi Order to be with Padme, and he has these incredibly detailed cosplays. Now, when you see the photos of them, like, they look impressive even just from the photos, but even then, the photos don't do it justice because he's got layers underneath that he also put work into, that he also put details in, that you can't get from a quick snapshot. And I think that's why a lot of these 3D printers feel like theirs were better, because you can look at like a print of Thor's hammer and you can see that, and you can see the details printed on there, and you can see the paint and whatever. Whereas like if I embroider something, or if I do a French seam, you're not gonna be able to see my French seam. That's on the inside of my clothing, but that's a technique. And for like a beginner seamstress, that's a difficult technique to execute. So I think that's kind of where this disconnect is coming from, is that like 3D printers think because you can see it that it should count for more, which isn't necessarily true. Another part of what like makes cosplay judging so complicated is that you're not necessarily judging an equal number of skills and an equal percentage that these skills were executed. So like the 3D printer cosplayer, for example, let's say like in total he executed 3 different skills, and you know, he did 75, 75, 40. That's the rate of execution he had it. Versus, you know, you get a cosplayer who had 5, but a lot of them were into the fabric. So you've got 75, 75, 40. I'm trying to make this as equal as possible. Then you got like 90, 75, 60, 50, 35. How do you compare? How do you say like this person wins, this person loses? And I think that's the other thing that like a lot of cosplayers don't understand going into craftsman competitions, is that if you're going in expecting to win, you're probably not going to have a good time. Because when you really think about it, there's a lot of people entering cosplay competitions, and from the cosplay competitions I've seen, there's like maybe 4 placements. So there's novice, journeyman, masters, and then judges top choice. And we're talking like tens and tens of cosplayers. Like we're talking about a lot of cosplayers for 4 places, you know? So like I think that's the other thing too, is that like a lot of cosplayers going into cosplay competitions don't understand, is that like if you're going in solely because you want to win, and not saying that like wanting to win is wrong, because like we want to feel good about what we created, we want to be appreciated for the time, energy, effort that we put into our creations, but that's just not realistic. Like the percentage chance of you winning is not realistic. And like the Anakin cosplayer I referenced earlier, like he made a really good point in saying that sometimes cosplay competitions, it's not about what you did, it's about who shows up. Because he talks about like with the cosplay I referenced earlier as well, like his Imperial Anakin, I think is what it's called. You know, it won at a massive cosplay competition, and it went to like a world's level cosplay competition. So like he did fantastic when he placed for the worlds, but then when he showed up at the worlds competition, there were just other better cosplayers out there, and you can't control for that. Like you can't control for like whoever else shows up. And just because this is a big name cosplayer at the top of my head, like hypothetically, if I show up to Youmacon and then like out of nowhere Yaya Han shows up, like I'm not gonna beat Yaya Han, and that's not gonna say that whatever I make isn't good. It just means that someone's better, somebody can outclass you. And I think that's like a lot of newer cosplay contestants need to understand as they come in and enter cosplay. I'm sorry if this is a little bit rambly, I just really wanted to talk about this subject, but that is my thoughts on 3D printing and cosplay competitions. Let me know what you guys think down below, and if you like this video, don't forget to subscribe to my channel so I can bring you more cosplay content.